Boom, boom. How's it going? How's it going? It is I, your boy again. And welcome to M5 Property Addicts. And today, as you're watching me, I am with someone new that you've never seen before. And I am so excited because this man here is an awesome man. He is from a small little town like this. Yes. But he brings in good things, and without wasting much time, let me introduce to you to Joe. I call him Joe Biden, but he's not your Joe Biden. He's my Joe Biden. Joe, how's it going, man?
TJ, yeah, it's going very well. Thanks for having me.
Awesome stuff. Who is Joe?
Well, TJ, Joe is currently the fund manager of a very exciting fund, which is called the Expatie Student Hospitality Fund, and
Right.
we've been running with the fund for a while, and that's really something that we really get stuck into. It's quite exciting offering, so we addressing a certain market for individuals to invest in student hospitality, which is exciting. So so I'm managing the fund for compliance and legal reasons and perspective. All those paperwork and all the legalities surrounding a fund. I'm the person.
Joe, I asked you who you are, and you started telling me what you do, which is all right. I was just asking, who's Joe? Where's Joe from? Is he married? Does he have kids?
Yeah.
I think you're getting into the Johannesburg syndrome. When I travel quite a lot, when I'm in Cape Town and people say, hey, how's it going? They generally don't ask you what you do in Johannesburg. They kind of like ask you that. So you're a man from Potch, right? That's where you're based.
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in Potchefstroom. So
Yeah.
we've been had a chance to live the student life in Potchefstroom.
Right.
I know quite a few people that's also friends and family in Potch.
Nice.
Potch is an interesting town. It comes down to there's a lot of professors and deans and it's quite a university town.
Stop showing off, Joe. Eh?
And very much a university-focused sort of environment, which is perfect, and that's why I'm stationed here.
Nice,
good for family, good for your career. So yeah, that's why I'm here.
Okay. You got kids, Joe?
Absolutely. I've got 3 kids.
Yeah.
I'm married, obviously.
Yeah.
And living.
That's not obvious in Joburg. Sometimes being in Joburg, you might not be married and you got 45 kids. We have seen that.
It happens. It's a good point to bring up that.
Sure.
But definitely, and what a nice town to actually bring up your kids in. So that's
true.
We travel around the country to do a lot of work and pursue some opportunities. But Potch is home, man. That's where you put your head to rest at night.
Good. Joe, you decided to become a fund manager out of everything else that you could have become. What is a fund manager? Just give us in simple terms. What is a fund manager? It almost sounds like someone else whom you give money to and then they manage that money. What is a fund manager?
A fund manager is the face of a fund when it comes to being compliant, and you've got one person that stands in from a responsibility point of view, that's responsible as the go-to person when it comes to all in everything legal or compliant, everything along those lines. That's what I do. So I'm your I'm the protector of the fund in the sense that we just don't manage it. We also protect the investments from the investors, and that's basically what it comes down to. Is a fund manager is there to manage and protect and be compliant. First port of call. And it's also, you have to have a face that's responsible.
Sure. Yeah. Joe, so as a fund manager, not anyone can become a fund manager. You have to fall within the rules and regulations of the country. And specifically, if we're talking about, being a fund manager, you need to report to the FSB. A lot of people, I meet them and they ask the questions, FSB, FSB. But what is the FSB in relation to the fund manager?
Yeah, so this is very important because a fund manager stands in for the responsibility of carrying the compliance of the fund with him. So the main thing is when it comes to the FSB and the FSB number being issued, it's specifically linked to individuals. That individual needs to be accredited, needs to go through the proper channels to be qualified,
Right.
must have, and definitely have a good financial background.
Right.
Personally myself, I've been involved in some of the largest projects in the country where I've been in the financials as cost engineering and all those financial and accounting disciplines that we're busy with. So yeah, so to bring it back, FSB, you can't have an FSB if you don't have responsible individuals that comply with the rules and regulations of having a fund, not just any fund. There's different funds, of course, that you have different requirements to actually be a fund manager of. So Section 12J is the fund that I'm currently managing, and there's quite a selected amount of individuals in the country that actually manages funds in this regard. It's a very limited amount of individuals, so it's not something you come across on a daily basis, and there's a reason for that, because you've got only a certain amount of individuals that you need to manage and track and see if they're compliant, and audits that need to be done. So it's basically all the boring stuff that I do, to make it possible for the investors to have a great return on their investments.
Joe, I want to speak to a point that you speak of here. So number one, if one is to become a fund manager, it basically means that they are registered with the FSB board, and they are the highest office in terms of making sure that everyone's money is managed correctly within the right or areas and things like that. And there is a license now that you've been granted. That's why there is a license and FSB number. So anyone can request that number and they can double check. That's the point number one. Number two, obviously, if you are to do anything dubious, you obviously stand to lose your license, and you also stand to be persecuted and all of those things. So this office of being a fund manager is one of those highest offices, it's a very key fiduciary office in terms of managing money, and Joe, that's what you are. I saw that need, and we started talking sometime last year, and that's why now we have partnered. So your guys' fund was called the Expert, and we are transitioning now, and that will become the M5 fund. And out of that, the two of us now we've partnered, and which means that we are bringing in a 12J to the people, right? And yes, this has been done, but within our community, we are the first to be doing this. And I almost want to say, Joe, thanks very much for allowing us to collaborate with you and for us actually to start talking about a 12J. But Joe, for those of people that don't know what is a 12J, right? So yes, you are accredited, you've got the license. Me and you now, we've got this license. Because of our partnerships, we can now become a 12J. What is a 12J?
Well, TJ, 12J is an unbelievable opportunity where you can not only invest and get an exceptional return on investment, but you can also get your taxes for the financial year that you've worked very hard for rebated back to you from SARS. And the reason why government has put this vehicle in place is to promote job opportunities in the country. Because a Section 12J is initially started to provide as much job opportunities as a private enterprise. So either you go through a bank to start a private enterprise, or you get funding through Section 12J, where that funds is utilized to build businesses properties, and everything associated with a business and a property. You need to employ people. So the more people you employ, at the end of the day, everybody is happy because SARS are getting their taxes that they rebated in the beginning back to you, and so everybody is happy along the line. You build a country, you create job opportunities, and that's an initial thought behind Section 12J, is to grow businesses, grow investments for investors, and basically everybody's a winner in that sense.
When did it start, Joe? Because for me, I started hearing this, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, but I didn't take notice of it. And which means that I lost the opportunities. But when did 12J start?
So 12J was initially started in South Africa, and in 2009, it was legislation was put in place. At that stage, legislation wasn't conducive for investors to really invest and get a great return on the investment. So government came to the party and said in 2015, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to change a little bit of the rules here to make it more conducive for investors to come in. And now we're in an environment since 2015, beginning of 2016, where the rules is structured in such a way that you can utilize the tax rebate fully and grow your assets. And that's why you haven't heard a lot about it, but obviously it's been really taking off the last few years, and it's been growing at a pace. It's currently the fastest growing asset class in the country. It is quite exceptional.
Of course. So ladies and gentlemen, you always hear me talking about, the rich gets richer, and there is mechanisms how the rich get richer. We have journeyed on different ways of doing it, but this is one of the ways in which the rich gets richer, like seriously get rich, right? And I'm going to shock your brains because I think some of you're not comprehending what this 12J is all about. And let me just explain it in simple terms in relation to money, right? Joy, is it a fact that 12J is a SARS initiative? So it is SARS, and once someone else contributes, they get their returns 100% from SARS. So it's not about you and me. This is a SARS thing, and it's SARS initiative.
That is 100% correct.
Okay, so that's a fact.
Yeah.
People have received their benefits in the last couple of years. So, I'm just talking to a guy here who's never heard of what is a 12J, and we're trying to explain this to them. Fact number 2 is that if you need to double check here how much you what's your tax bracket, So obviously now we are around about in February, so you're supposed to have been doing your taxes. But Joe, another question follows through here. If you are not registered for tax, so that means that you can't participate in a 12J, isn't
it? That's not true, DJ. Anybody can participate in the 12J.
Yeah.
Obviously the 12J is set up. The advantages is there for the additional returns, meaning that you can get your taxes back and grow your investment, which is exceptional.
So two things there. That's what the 12J does, right? Okay.
Yeah. So even though you're not, let's say you inherited quite a bit of money and currently you're not employed,
right?
And obviously you got that payout, and you need to invest it. You can still invest it in the Section 12J, but obviously there will be no taxes that you can get back from SARS. Mm-hmm. But if SARS were to charge you any taxes, you'll get that back as well. So you're covered, and you grow your capital or your investment, and you also, if there were to be any implied taxes, you can claim that back.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. Joe, I want to give you an example here of someone who earns R1 million. Okay, that's their cost to company today. And this person here could be on a bracket of what, 40%, I think? Even actually very close to 45, actually, I think. Right. So let's just, for this example, let's just say you earn R1 million and your tax bracket is 45%. At the moment, what the government does is that once your employer pays you, they are going to take already 450,000 of your 1 million. That's what it basically means. right?
That's right.
You don't see that money.
That goes directly to government.
Right.
But
And what we are now saying is that of the remaining amount of that you now have, whether it is money from your salary, whether you have inherited some money, I get a lot of people coming through to me, Joe, who have had road accidents funds.
Yeah.
Or whose spouse has died. Right? So here we're talking about you are on this bracket here on the 45%, which is the highest bracket. And now you contribute, let's say 100,000 to the 12J. You know, you ring us at the M5 Property Addicts, Joe, who's our fund manager, and you say you want to give in, you want to invest 100,000. We've got the licenses, FSB registered and things like that. And now, Joe, what you are saying on this 100,000, if the project is going to give the people, right, let's say 12%, that is the return that they are going to be getting on the project. But because they've got a 45% tax bracket, next year, when they do their tax returns, they are going to get out of the 100,000, they are going to get 45,000 back into their own pockets.
That is 100% correct. They're going to get refunded back the 45% of the taxes paid. So if they invested 100,000 and they've on a 45% tax bracket, it means that SARS will rebate them back 45,000 Rand after 100,000. So they'll get that back from being in the right tax bracket.
In the same breath, they are still going to get their 12%, but not pegged on the difference of 145, but pegged at 100,000.
Correct. That's 100% correct. So your investment grows. If you invest at 100,000, it's a 12% growth on the 100,000. It's not linked to the 45,000. The 45,000 just sweetens the deal. You get that back from SARS. You know, it just increases your return exceptionally, very high return for not a 12%, but additional 45. So it's wow. A very high return.
However, we got some bad news that came in, Joe, from Tito, our minister Tito Mboweni, I think at the beginning of February. We were almost closing the relationship of how we're going to be working. And then Tito came in and did an announcement, and it caused a little bit of friction between me and you in terms of us concluding the deal that we've been working so hard for in a long time. And we're like, so what now? Because the minister have said the 12J is not going to continue. And I'm sure there are a lot of people right now there that are watching in there. They are also saying, TJ, the 12J is a thing of the past, man. The minister said, you know, it's being cancelled. What's factual around this, Joe? Because, you know, the newspapers say something else, but what is reality? How much, the announcement that Tito said, what's going to happen now between now, I don't know, and yeah.
Yeah, so the current legislation is set up that there's a sunset clause which comes into effect this financial year, which will end of June 2021. So it means with current legislation that's in place, you still have you have the opportunity to reap the benefits of the Section 12J up until end of June. Right. And that benefits. The benefit would be to get your rebate or your tax rebate back from SARS, and that would be for the next financial year. So you can work for the whole next financial year, but because you have made an investment into a Section 12J company, you won't lose that benefit. You'll actually have it for the whole year. People are not aware of this, but you know that benefit doesn't just stop; it gets extended for the whole financial year. But then again, there has been some, because Tito has come to announce that in the budget speech they are going to change the terms, where the sunset clause will still be in effect, meaning that the fund will come to a close for Section 12J only, end of June. The fund will continue on a private equity basis where investors will still earn exceptional income on the investment past the end of June. Obviously, nothing will cease to exist in the sense that the assets that's bought within the fund will still generate income for the investors past June, end of June, and it will do so for the next 5 years until the investors comes around and they take a full payout on the investments after 5 years. So
okay.
That it's still the benefits is still there, and obviously the assets doesn't go anywhere. It's still earning money.
Right. In a nutshell, Joe, what you're saying to us is, as our fund manager, we can still continue contributing. As investors, we do have a limited time. It's between now and June 2021. And thereafter, you cannot contribute because the 12J benefits would have been closed, as Chitombeweni said. However, the shell where the properties are going to be sitting, that fund is going to continue its lifetime and will still be able to give people the returns of what it is. And it can continue for forever and ever for those that are going to be investing in it. The last question that I'm going to ask you, Joe, before I let you go, man, is that once we are talking about these contributions, when I contribute into a 12J, right, when do I get my money, meaning my dividends and all of those, right? And how long do I need to lock my money in this 12J? Is there a legislation or is there a guideline that we can talk about? Or would you want people to be coming through into our next webinar so that they can understand fully what this actually means on our 12J?
Yeah, I think I would like to jump into the details of the mechanics of how it works.
Yeah.
Obviously, there will be timelines associated with payouts from SARS back into the investors' pockets.
Right.
Something that I just wanted to bring up earlier, and maybe now's the best time to do it, is that people that will receive their SARS rebate will not receive it from our fund. It will be paid directly from SARS into their bank accounts.
Right. Just like any other rebate that you do when you're doing your tax returns, isn't it?
Exactly like a normal rebate.
Right.
But for them to be able to get that rebate, we'll have to provide them with the right certificates to do that.
Sure. It's like taking a medical aid for your mother-in-law and other siblings that you might have, and now all of a sudden the medical aid gives you a certificate, isn't it? And with that certificate, you pass it on to Mr. SARS, and Mr. SARS gives you a rebate based on your income statement.
Exactly. So we provide with a special sequence number or authorization number, and SARS uses that to actually know that this individual will need to get back either all the taxes, depending on how much invested, or just a portion of the taxes, also depending on the amount of investment and the tax bracket. Yeah.
Awesome stuff.
I think to get really into the mechanics of time periods or the timeline between when you should invest. Obviously, you should invest as quickly as possible because you're losing out on the benefits of your capital growing at the 12%. But when you in line to get your tax rebates back, those timelines will be given. Obviously, we need to close out the financial year, and SARS needs to do an audit on the whole financial year, which is details we don't want to get into right now. But then again, after that financial year has been concluded, there will be a small, when you do your tax returns and you inform them that this is my numbers, they come back to you in 4 months' time to pay out that rebates. So it's normally a 4-month delay before you get your rebate.
Awesome.
That's standard in the industry. So everybody has done the taxes, and everybody that knows how it works and how quickly you get it. So that 4-month turnaround to be able to access that.
Awesome stuff. Joe, thanks a lot for hanging out with me on here and for you allowing us to introduce the M5 Fund in association with the expert. This won't be Joe. I've introduced him now, so sometimes he might come alone, sometimes he's with me. The bottom line is that Joe and I, from an M5 property perspective, we now have the one fund, which is the 12J, where you can get involved. You have a limited time. I want to stress this out. So your investments, gather your investments, gather your chomies so that you can have money coming through. Invest into the 12J, specifically for student accommodations. We're going to do two things, right, Joe? Agriculture, which is aquaponics, together with the student accommodation. And we already have identified projects that we can actually kick off with. So we're just waiting for you to invest. But if you're looking for more details on how this will unfold, in the link below, there is a section where you can join in the next webinar where we will focus on how this is going to work. And out of that, you can decide to whether you're going to be with us or not. Either way, the train is going. Me and Joe, we're buying all of these properties. Ne, Joe?
Yeah, we're deep into it already. Very deep.
We can't stop now, ne?
Yeah, it's such great returns. We'll make it work.
Absolutely. With or without the people who continue, ne, Joe?
That's what I meant. There's always a way.
Awesome stuff. Joe, thanks a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll check you out on the next video.